Hey everybody, I am Chris Kiefer and this is a shy dog, but this is Desi. I brought him along here at Glen Helen Raceway today. We are going to talk about this 2024 KX450 garage build built by Adrian from Ride Engineering. Look, I know we just did a Kawasaki, but this is a little bit different. This is based around chassis parts, comfort, and trying to make you vet guys a little bit more comfortable on the track. We're even going to go farther than we normally do. We're actually going to ride a vet track today and just keep it old guy related right here on this garage build. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're going to talk more about this bike. All right, we brought Adrian in here from Ride Engineering, the guy behind this bike. We just did a garage build that was in the green form, but we wanted to base another one around you vet riders, someone that wants a little bit more comfort. A lot of you guys hit me up on my email saying, Kiefer, I don't know which 450 to buy. 450s are a lot of power for me. I'm scared of it. Should I get a 250? But in the world of 450s, this Kawasaki is a great choice, but it does come a little bit soft in the suspension department, and the chassis itself is a little bit more rigid than in 2023. So this 24 KX450, we did some chassis things. Adrian, give us the rundown on what you did to try to make this thing more comfortable.
As far as comfort goes, I had Ron Schuler from ESR Suspension go through the suspension and make it work for a vet guy.
Actually, the suspension is made for me, so thank God. Usually when I do Adrian's bikes, it's made for a 5'5" human being that weighs about $125, what we call just DNR. You can figure that out on your own, but nonetheless, it's sprung for me, right?
That's right.
Okay.
We got 5.2s in the front, and we have the stock shock spring in the rear.
Okay.
Okay, so Ron did the suspension for you. We added taller bars because I always run a lower handlebar because I'm only 5'5". Okay, so we developed an all-new triple clamp around the 2024 chassis. We had to make it a lot stiffer than our older clamp, which makes this bike track a lot straighter. We also can now run a WP or a Showa steering dampener under the number plate. It's a cool little add-on for additional stability. I had an ignition done, a Vortex ignition by Chad at XPR, and it's actually a funny story because when we first got it back, we started riding with that ignition on and we hated the power delivery. So I got on the phone with Chad and I'm like, Chad, what's up with this map? Usually your maps are awesome. And he started getting a little bit offended because he was like, everybody loves them. I don't know what your deal is, right?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out us old dudes, we need to sometimes pay attention with our eyesight, and instead of the arrow pointing on the one map, the arrow is pointing on the 5 map, the torque map, 180 degrees around.
Yeah.
And the torque map is not good on this engine.
Okay.
So once we put it on the proper map, super happy with the mapping and the power delivery of the motorcycle.
All right, so we also got some other trinkets that you guys make, obviously caps. Adrian makes calipers for other Japanese models, but since we have a Brembo up front, the reason is?
Well, yeah, part of the reason is the Brembo is a good caliper. Part of the reason is the master cylinder on a Brembo is only a 10 millimeter, and we need an 11 millimeter master cylinder to push our brake caliper. Now on the 2025 250F, that one comes with a Nissin 11 millimeter master and a Nissin front rotor, or front brake caliper. So on that one, you could run our caliper. But on this bike, you'd have to replace the master cylinder as well, which is a little more complicated.
Also, I'm excited to ride some Bridgestones. I don't ride Bridgestones that often, so I'm going to go try those things out, give you guys some feedback on that. And we have stock gearing. Of course, we have Pro Taper chain and sprockets.
Correct.
And then, so I'm going to go hit the vet track, be a vet track warrior on this Thanksgiving weekend. So stay tuned. I'll be back. We're going to talk about the chassis, some of the engine, and of course the tires, and give you some feedback on what it's like to ride a true vet green Kawasaki. All right, it's a wrap here from the vet track at Glen Helen Raceway today. So let's just start off by getting some of your questions out of the way, because I already can feel the YouTube comments below the video. Kiefer, you just did a Kawasaki. What are we doing? Okay, so what we're doing is I have a lot of time on a Kawasaki in 2024. Probably one of the most fun bikes in the 450 realm that I have ridden. Kiefer, you don't race one? Yes, because I feel like I want a little bit more power. So this build isn't about power, but more about comfort. But what I will say from the Kawasaki KX450, if you're on the fence about a 450 that you may think, hey, it's too much bike for me, this bike, with a little modifications that we're going to talk about, make it one of the easiest 450s to ride to date in 2025. Look, it's not the fastest bike. It's a little bit heavy feeling. It's a little bit soft. But what we did is we took care of that here at Glen Helen Raceway. So let's just start out with Ride Engineering, what they did and what these parts do for you at home. So you have a KX450, 24, 25. Kiefer, it's the same offset. What's it doing? Okay. So what Adrian said at the top of the show is that he went stiffer on the clamp. In the world of us normal vet guys, when we hear the word stiffer, we freak out. We're like, oh my gosh, rigid. Well, that's not the case. Sometimes when you go stiffer in portions of the chassis, the actual comfort goes up. In this case, this is where we're at. So we have a stock 23 millimeter clamp. It's a little bit stiffer. We have a split design. But what this does, it gives you a little bit less of a rigid feel from the KX450. You OG Kawasaki lovers, the 22, 23 guys, some of you don't like the new chassis. For me, I like it because I like how much front end feel I have. I'm a front end steering guy. So this clamp increases that front wheel feel. It increases the comfort, that bump touch, and just the clamp alone, if you guys have a Kawasaki, you know how much vibration these things come with. It's, out of all the Japanese bikes, it has the most vibration. I'll dare to say it has more vibration than a KTM. So this clamp helps the comfort and the vibration. That's a winning combo. So for me, when I had this on my 2024 bike, I'd immediately like it. I just like the comfort and the feel of it. The next thing is the Ride Engineering bar mounts. Like, do you guys need bar mounts? Maybe not, but in the world of adjustment, Ride Engineering has plenty of it. I'm a very finicky guy when it comes to my rider triangle, so in this case, I do like the stock rider triangle of the KX450, and sometimes when you go to a bar mount or a aftermarket clamp, you never get that right feel on your handlebars. So it's nice that Adrian does have the stock offset, as well as a minus or plus 3 millimeters. So if you want to go forward, you can go 3 millimeters forward or back. So there's a wide range of adjustments. He has all different kinds of heights. So if you guys are taller, you can stick some spacers in there. He has all this stuff within his bar mount. So there's plenty of adjustments within this Kawasaki and Ride Engineering mount. So the next thing is, it's a Kawasaki part. They have an optional top mount. I'm sure Simon took a video of this. There's a hole drilled in the top mount as well. It mounts up a little bit different, and the shape of the top mount is different. What does it do for your Kawasaki, Kiefer? Well, what that does, it increases rear wheel feel and traction, as well as just that first bump touch compliance. It's a big word. Stay with me. So when you hit that first bump, in the world of a KX450 2425, it's a little bit stiffer. It's not as calm as the older chassis. This optional mount makes it a little bit more 23-esque. For me, I like that. This whole chassis doesn't feel like I'm towing a trailer like the older chassis, and now I'm getting added comfort with this top clamp and those top engine mounts. So for me, less vibration with the top engine mount and more comfort. I'm going in the direction that I like. Today at the vet track, choppy, small bumps, not a lot of berms. If you guys been to Glen Helen and you've been to the Arroyo track, it's just very fast, choppy, but fun. We had some rain here, but nonetheless, I need a little bit more comfort out of this KX450, and I got it here today. In the world of 450 chassis, 24, 25, almost every manufacturer has gone to of a stiff feel. I get on all these 450s and I'm like, man, it's rigid. It's not like the older chassis where you have some comfort. I think Kawasaki has one of the better chassis where I actually can feel my way around the track, but they did go stiffer with their chassis to try to increase the front tire contact, which they did, but we can back that down a little bit and get some more comfort with these clamps and that top engine mount. A couple other things that I've noted. I've never ridden with ESR. It's a local guy here in Southern California, Ronnie Schuler. He's actually from the high des. Never got a chance to run his suspension. And with this, it's a slippery slope for me. There's a lot of these, what I call backyard Johnny Bumpsticks suspension companies that want me to try their stuff. And I don't get to try very many of them. So usually I'm hitting the top tier suspension companies. Well, right here, ESR, he actually races Glen Helen weekly. He's very familiar with suspension. He's been doing it for a very long time. He's raced desert races, GPs, and he knows suspension, just haven't had a chance to try it. And the stock KX450 is quite soft. So for me, I get a lot of pitching and diving, and that could actually upset the chassis and hurt comfort. So Ronnie went to work, did some valving, and added heavier springs for me. What you can see on the video is a very balanced bike. I have a lot of comfort. It's not rigid feeling. On the edge of tire, especially here at Glen Helen, I get in stock form a little bit of a too stiff, edgy, harsh feel. That has been gone with a little bit more comfort from the suspension, so I like that. Another point of contact to the rear shock is the Ride Engineer linkage. It is an adjustable linkage. It does have offsets that you can do. Right now we are at 0.5 millimeters longer on the pull rods. You guys are thinking, hey, 0.5, am I gonna feel it? And I'm gonna tell you guys, look, I didn't notice much difference. If I had something to go back to back with, I could tell you more, but today didn't feel much. So the beauty of this linkage is that if you want to squat your rear end a little bit more, you can adjust that with the Ride Engineering linkage. You can actually make the rear squat a little bit more, going longer on the pull rod, or you can go shorter. So there is some adjustability with the linkage, and you don't have to buy one set pull rod. You have some adjustability, which is nice. The engine, let's get to that real quick. Easy to ride. I still would like a little bit more power. I come from a Yamaha. I'd like to get off the gate if I'm racing. I know I can get a whole shot on a YZ450. Not confident in a stock KX450 to get me off the gate. So Chad at XPR, you guys know him very well through these videos. He does an excellent job of waking this power up, giving me some more torque. You hear Adrian say he didn't like the torque map. And map 4 is what I helped Chad create on this bike, because overall power, I get more torque, more over rev, and I can use third gear sooner. This bike isn't a third gear lugging machine. You'll never get that unless you break into the engine, piston, cams, but nonetheless, second gear is more usable. Third gear, you can get into third gear sooner, so I like that. So there is some more meat there. Top it off with a slip-on from FMF. They do a great job of keeping the bike quiet, doesn't sound raspy, and I get a little bit more mid-range. So now I have some power, have some excitement. I got these holes drilled out for the airbox, so this thing is breathing now, and I got some fun factor. Would I still like a little bit more? Yes, I would, but nonetheless, it's very easy to ride. I like to feel my front end, like I mentioned, but I also like to control my corner via my throttle to my rear wheel. With the Yamaha, sometimes that gets too much for me. I can nail my corners at times, but sometimes the bike gets away from me. This bike never gets away from me. Very easy, very controlled, very fun to ride. So maybe not as much excitement initially as the Yamaha, but fun factor, the duration of it is much longer on this Kawasaki, so XPR FMF did a great job. Maybe the Bridgestones don't have a lot of time on them, so the Battlecross series, they've been out for a little while. Maybe you're not getting a lot of recognition, but they're not bad, honestly. Hard pack, we got some hard pack inside ruts that are really like almost like shale-like, and then outside berms. Traction seems to be pretty decent. I would like a little bit more rear wheel bite coming out of corners, but nonetheless, I think the Bridgestone is a nice option for you guys if you want to switch tire brands. Life, I don't know. I haven't had much time on them, but nonetheless, I'm pretty picky with tires, and I didn't notice anything right away when I went out on the track. If you guys want to get some more, or I should say less vibration out of your KX450, the Pro Taper SX Race Band or any Pro Taper Evo band will help dampen that vibration and give you a better quality feel through your handlebars. Forgot to mention that Adrian also offers the Honda steering damper that you can add to his clamps. As you can see, it's a little bit of a Jet Lawrence here. Jet loves his steering tight, so this is a little bit tight, but on a track that's fast, edgy, the damper does work. In softer conditions, I don't notice the damper as much, but if you're riding somewhere fast, choppy, it could be a nice option to add to this clamp. Overall, it's a nice build, easy to ride. It actually gets me motivated to ride the KX450 SR that's coming out here pretty soon. So sometimes, I'll be honest with you guys, I get stuck in a rut. I like what I like, and then I try something because I try all these bikes, and I'm like, it opens my eyes a little bit to see, you know what, I don't need a fast bike. I like having fun. I like riding mellower tracks. I like riding mellower bikes, and this fits me today. So if you guys are looking to have some fun, be safe, go home to your wife without her bitching at you about getting hurt or spending money, this is a nice bike, so maybe consider that for your next 450. Any questions, hit me up, chris@kieferinctesting.com. That's a virtual door that's cracked open for you guys to ask me anything about this bike or anything dirt bike related. And of course, Racer X, we got a publication, 12 issues, 30 bucks, get a free calendar, poster, whatever the hell they're doing now. I don't know, they do different stuff all the time. So check those guys out. A lot of new stuff inside the magazine that you can't get online. And don't forget, we're here each month, right here. Maybe not Glen Helen, maybe we'll go back east sometime. Please, we'll spread out the love a little bit, but once a month we're here at Garage Build, and we'll see you on the next one.